So yeah, let's just get going. Quick intros.
All right. Hey, guys. I'm Joni, also known as Curious J. I'm a core contributor of Atom Accelerator DAO of Cosmos Hub.
I'm Zac Wickstrom, CEO of Breadcrumbs, and we're here to control your personal data.
I'm Candice. I'm an independent PR consultant. I used to work for Tendermint, rebranded it to Ignite. Then I work for NIM, and I now currently work across a few different projects. But in Cosmos, I work with Neptune Finance, which is a lending protocol.
Who's the most OG up here? When did you get into Cosmos?
Clinicals. So I've actually come from a clinical background. So in terms of OG, I would say you guys are.
What year?
This is our first Cosmoverse, so we are not OG. We're the newcomers.
You're the OG. So.
Is it always the case now? I'm the oldest OG everywhere.
2021, you got me beat,
well,
right?
I've been to Lisbon, went to Medellin, I was in Istanbul, I'm here. Yes, I'm the OG.
Definitely
Okay.
OG.
I'll have to shout out Osmosis, because I don't think I would technically be here if it wasn't for Osmosis. I came through, and it was like, God damn, that's fun. It's a good time with DGen. And it got me motivated to like even want to be a part of crypto, because before that, I thought blockchain was kind of sucked ass, to be honest with you. So Osmosis got me here, and I'm proud of it. So, anyways, I guess is it dead? And what is your interpretation of Cosmos? Like, do you think it's dead?
Well, it better not be dead, because we're building all of our stuff on Cosmos, right? I think that's a silly question. What Cosmos offers is the ability for developers to not have to reinvent the wheel. If you need decentralization, if you don't want a central authority, a central point of trust, but you don't want to have to create an entire blockchain community from scratch, you can just plug right into the Cosmos Hub, and that's an incredibly valuable thing. It's not going anywhere. Yeah,
arguably, I would say no one would say it's dead from the dev side of things. But do you think? Again, this is what I mean, like your interpretation of it. Like,
look, like from a retail or community perspective, dead to them means dead in price action, volume. But I mean, if you talk about the entire ecosystem, we're doing like $1 billion on average in IBC volume. So that's not really dead to me, right? And then you can factor in prices of certain tokens like Atom, but even Atom, historical perspective, like the ROI with all the airdrops and staking, if you've been here long enough, like you've definitely benefited from it. On top of that, if you look at all the development that is going on, like you said, from a dev perspective, it's more alive than ever. In fact, it's expanding, right? So it's the opposite of dead, if anything.
I'd like to go to you, and you can tell us your OG dev background all the way through and what you've seen. And
I think when you ask me that question, it will be the same response as to when somebody asks me, where are you from? I'll be like, could you be more precise? If we're talking about an ecosystem point of view, I mean, look at the projects that are pitching today, right? The ecosystem, we look at the builders. I don't think we ever, got close to dying. But if you look at the community, right, look at all these people here. I think maybe 70% of them are builders, 30% are not really builders, including myself. I had a whale of a time, the last 3 days. So from the community perspective, we're thriving. But if we look at users, like mainstream users that seem to be a measure of success in our industry these days, I don't think we were ever alive, right? And actually, is that a problem? Is that really a problem if we are a developer ecosystem and you have a lot of great projects that have been building on it and going outside of the ecosystem to thrive and to gain that mainstream adoption, and that's the kind of success that you can say, hey, we did that as an ecosystem, and it's okay if we don't get a credit. We like seeing what has happened out there.
Yeah, so I just wish everything was built around utility. I think that was the focal point of Cosmos originally, and maybe for me, from my experience as like a community and an outsider, kind of doing the janitorial work all the way up till now, I kind of wish that everything was focused on utility. Not as much as the DGen, and I love DeFi, that was my background. I just think sometimes it gets a little oversaturated, and I wish if moving forward that it was just all based on utility. Everything was utility focused. As you see, I think you have, I don't want to start naming names, but there's a lot of great projects that are in Cosmos that aren't DeFi. I think that when hopefully this doesn't trigger everyone in here, but when the Terra thing happened, me personally, I was just like, what's in Cosmos that has really nothing to do with DeFi, and that's where I want my resources to go. And I kind of did that, and if you kind of look, if we're talking about prices, those projects are the ones that are kind of thriving right now. So that's kind of my take, and I don't know. You guys have any other takes on that?
Yeah, I mean, for one, I think that, there's a huge focus on builders building things for builders, and that's great. But to Candice's point, if the success metric is conventional users, we were never alive to begin with, and that's okay. But at some point, we got to be born. We need to take all of this incredible work that we've done to build tools for builders and reach the end of the food chain where we're building something for consumers, for everybody. We need to find use cases where decentralization, isn't a buzzword. It's a crucial piece of what you're building. And when you do that, I think that you're going to see a huge shift from, people building things for other builders to being inspired about all of the.
Yeah, I agree here. I think one of the biggest problems Cosmos has had is catering to developers and not really attracting those builders that are building products for a community, right? And there's a disconnect for that, and why the community is always, criticizing pretty much everything that we built. We have the best tech. I think we just have to repurpose it into attracting those developers that want to build fun products out there to really grow this ecosystem.
Yeah, so me too. I don't think it's dead, right? Like we had I think everyone probably remembers actually where they were at when the whole Luna UST thing happened, and it was sad to see, but it was kind of good to see as well, because you see all these great builders that were in a Terra ecosystem kind of migrate over, and it shows you how interoperable that Cosmos really is. Like it's very communitarian. The communities can kind of shift. If you don't like somewhere, you could just freely go elsewhere, and that's the beauty of Cosmos. It's very sovereign, and so I'm not going to lie, from a community perspective, I think if Atom Price does real well, it probably makes everyone a little bit more happier. So that is a thing that I would like to see. And then,
I mean, I agree with your point where you say, yes, in an ideal world, if everything that's built has utility, it's great. But, I think maybe we're a victim of our own success. So, it's the flexibility and the freedom that Cosmos gives to developers, right? And this means that Cosmos could be a great gateway into this industry. So I started working in Web3 in 2017. There was this massive struggle to find engineers who even knew what the F they were doing. Can we swear? No, we can't.
Yeah, we can.
That's good.
Yeah, exactly. To know what they were doing, right? And there was such a struggle that, the project I was working with, he had great utility, right? He had great potential for mainstream adoption straight up, but we couldn't get it, fast enough, right, to the finish line, because there weren't engineers who knew what they were doing. So if Cosmos can be the gateway to this industry and get more developers from Web 2, right, to kind of get in here, and then they realize the flexibility and the freedom that they have to build what they want, the joy of building, right, they can find it here. And then they can then move on, into building something that's utility for the whole world, and, get that whole first principles promises that actually blockchain, started off with.
Yeah, it seems like I didn't get to listen to earlier panels, but it seems now that it's a lot easier to launch a chain in Cosmos, because there's just a lot of moving parts. And I'm not going to lie, from my perspective, it's a little complicated. I have teams reach out to me, hey, who do I reach out to? And it's, do that and do this. And then it's like, this team used to be here, now they changed their name to this, and these people are here, and now they're not here. And there's a lot of moving parts. And my thing is like, how do we go outside all these people that are here? It's maybe someone that's out in the lobby that has nothing to do with crypto, and just go up to them and pitch them why Cosmos. Like, why should they care? Why should they come here? And I guess to maybe ask you guys that, like, what would you have to say about that?
Well, I think my colleague in his startup Abstract gets right to the point. People don't care that it's on blockchain. I don't think that you can take a normal person and effectively pitch them, because they just don't care, right? What they want is for the product or the service to work. And if you can build a product or service without decentralization, you probably should. But if you have a use case where that's absolutely necessary, then Cosmos is the best way to do that. And yeah, this is our first Cosmoverse. It's an amazing...
Mine too.
Yeah, well, I'm struck. It's an amazing community. There's just so much enthusiasm. But going back to like, is Cosmos dead? Has it even been born yet? I think it's giving birth to itself. It's still figuring out what it is. And as you were saying, like it used to be really, really difficult to build things on top of our tech, and now it's gradually becoming easier. So that's sort of an organic process, but I think with what we're starting to see, we're getting past that phase again of building things for builders, and we're finding those really compelling use cases.
Yeah, and to add to that, I know from me being in, basically when Osmosis launched was like June of 21, I got in shortly right after that. You had to have like a PhD just to like learn how to do anything. You know how many times I had to answer, well, why is my atom not showing up on Osmosis? It's like, well, you got to send it over. And that seems to be drastically different, which is good. But to your point, I think that most people, I mean, they shouldn't care, right? Like when you go on a website, you don't give a shit that why it works and it's pinging from this server to that server. You just know it's going to work. And I agree with that. I guess like, how's your experience been as just as a pure user of anything in Cosmos?
I mean, for user, I think like in terms of user experience, Osmosis was kind of like the pioneer to make it attractive, right? But going back to is Cosmos dead? Like we have to address who are we catering to, right? Because Cosmos, crypto in general, just gave like this community of people cheering for their tokens, right? And naturally, we cheer for our tokens in Cosmos ecosystem, but that's still like a small bubble. We're more like still in our own crypto Twitter bubble. We're not really finding the masses out there. For example, underdeveloped countries that can use this tech for stablecoin payments, remittance, transferring. Other socials, making more socials more fun. YouTube, TikTok, anywhere else. Like we're not expanding on marketing marketing and narrative has been two of the biggest weaknesses. So it does come back to like, have we even, started yet? And I think this is going to be a new way to kind of transform that narrative to start and actually grow where we need to from the tech that we have.
And I was going to say, I was going to add something. I know you can add more to this, but like you see these teams out here, it's like not in Cosmos, it's like complete garbage, vaporware, but they're just got a good marketing team. And then they're top 20, top 30, sometimes even go up to the top 10. So from your perspective, like how do you...
Okay, so I do PR and communications, and I'm very careful to say that's extremely different from marketing. So marketing has its place. Like meme coins have its place. Even though I don't like it, even though I don't believe in it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have its place. I think I was in Token, and I think Sergey from Chainlink, I think he said something about how he doesn't like meme coins, but he feels that they test the infrastructure, right? And I think that was a really good point. There's a time and place for everything. So marketing activations, look at Oraichain, right? When's their product ready? I don't know. But is everyone talking about them? Yes. Okay, is that a hype that they want? Maybe yes, and that's what their audience need. But there may be better projects, that are truly innovative and focus on certain things like, I'm working with Neptune because I really believe in them. They've launched the mainnet on Injective, right, earlier this year. They raised, 1.1 million, but from the majority of them are Cosmos validators. So I think that kind of validation is amazing and it's truly innovative because they invented their own PID controller. And then you look at Aave, who has done all this marketing, and they invented, lending and everything. But if you look at everything that came after Aave, it's not necessarily innovative. It's just a copy and paste, adjust a little bit, and then say, okay, let's do this. There's a static market curve. Lenders and borrowers are doing things like, okay, I think I'm with Aave, so, numbers will go up. But they don't really understand what's happening. Then you have Neptune that's more innovative because it's built on Cosmos, decided not to use ICS at the start because they wanted a leaner and more mature team, and then they build it, and then, when it's time to use things like ICS or features that are very important to developers, that's when they put it into place. So time and place for everything. Today we talked about app chains at the developer lounge, okay? And one question was, should you launch an app chain, right? It's the same as should you use ICS, like, I'm going to support the Cosmos Hub and everything, right? But I think one thing that we should help developers set themselves up for success is to help them understand when and why they should use specific features that would then eventually help them scale in a way that is sustainable.
Currently are kind of broken all throughout crypto. I mean, you're seeing ETH scale, but like the ETH price action has been horrible. It hasn't done anything. You know, like the meme of ETH kind of is, it's like, you know, sadly, they kind of compare it to Atom's price action. And at the end of the day, I think price action is your best form of marketing. It really is. Like, if Atom was $15 billion market cap right now, we wouldn't probably have any of these questions right now. Everyone would want to come here, and you're seeing it with Solana, that's just a shitcoin factory with all the meme coins, and then they just support everything. It's like, come here and build, and even if they don't give you monetary value, they're going to give you the marketing arm, they're going to put you at Solana breakpoint, they're going to shill you, you know, and that's what I wish. I just wish that like we can go for everything, whether that benefits Atom's token, because I think Carter just said it, and I 100% agree with him, that everything that's built in Cosmos essentially could benefit the Atom price action, the token, and having a hub that has a strong focal point would be good, because I think looking at it from the outside perspective, a VC, if I was a VC, this is what I would think. Oh, you're pitching me and you're a Cosmos chain. Okay, so you're never going to hit, like I think we're at like 1.7 billion. You're never going to hit that. So like, let me go to Solana. It's just a weird mentality they have. I don't agree with it, but that's what they think of. And that's me rambling, so I'm going to pass it, and if anyone has any comments.
I mean, look, if we were talking about going back to community, obviously price action is the #1 way to market anything, but how do you even get that? The community wants to win. They want to feel part of something, right? They want to feel proud that they're backing something, right? Like she mentioned Oraichain. Nobody even knows what the hell it is. Yet we have a
but they got a cult bear that goes on stage.
Right? Why? Because they organize fun events. They do memes on socials, right? You have all of their channels promoting it, and like it makes the community feel like they're truly part of something special. And I think we need to tackle that first to revitalize our ecosystem. And it even goes beyond that. There's constant complaints about venture capitalists launching these Cosmos chains at ridiculously high valuations where community doesn't really benefit from that. Focus on the community first, make them win. You will get the liquidity, the users, the traction that you need.
Do you think that like, since Cosmos is so decentralized, do you think that's a detriment in that aspect?
Honestly, I really do. I think it got decentralized too early for its own good. There's always been like the problem of too many cooks in the kitchen, governance of too many opinions being discussed, some where the proposals are so technical where the average retail doesn't even understand, but you know, they see that the price isn't going as well and they feel inclined to comment and reply to specific posts about things. So yeah, I do think that some leadership is needed to really escalate it to a point where you are sustainable and growing, for that to open up more discussions for the community. So yeah, we do need to have that first, then actively decentralized. But you know, we did it the opposite way, right? We were focused on the Bitcoin ethos of decentralization and governance, and not really trying to cater to product.
Yeah, and to Zach's point, I mean, we're still very early. I always like to say that. I've been saying that since 2021. Oh, we're still early. But I think we're still early. So.
Yeah, and I think that's still true. You know, we're coming out of the phase of making the tech easier for builders, and now we're in the phase of basically getting attention, like what you're saying. You know, like it's very frustrating because I think there's just so many brilliant minds here, and they're focused on like the minutia of how the thing works. But you can have a bear go on stage and have like $1 billion valuation. Just doing something silly.
It really is. It's
yeah.
I mean, you know, it's interesting, right? I've been to a couple of Cosmoverses and Nebula Summit as well. And it's always been, it's an echo chamber. Are we pitching to the same people? Are we pitching to our mates who already know what we're doing, right? But I have to give a shout out to Seth from Nebula, Michael, Yuri, Fabian, Basil, this team here, right? You can see an increasingly more projects coming on stage to speak at Cosmoverse that may not necessarily be, known to the community here. But who do we have? Just at the developer lounge, because I was stuck there most of the 3 days.
Yeah.
We had Kenny from Manta Network, a massive community there coming in. I really knew him from my work in privacy in ZK. So, he was excited to be here. He was like, "Can you take some photos of me? Like, I kind of want to share it in my community." Right? And then we have, I think it was the last minute addition, some Mattis from, from Solana who was here. And I think, these kind of, conferences and events, right, is a good way to kind of, open up this echo chamber and then, kind of just promote Cosmos to other projects outside the ecosystem who probably have been interested in Cosmos, but just never had the time to be integrated and find out what we're doing. I met a couple of these in the last 2 conferences in Korea and Singapore, and I have a chat with them, and it was at a Bitcoin event as well, and they were like, "Oh, you work for Cosmos." I've always been really interested in Cosmos. I don't really know how to get into it, or because it's very developer focused, right? And they're like, "But I'm still really interested." And I'm like, "Just come to Cosmoverse, come to Nebula, come for the events, and chat with the people, that would actually be the one." We were very interested, so there is interest there, which is a good thing for us.
Yeah, we don't have any problems with the tech. I've been to all kind of different conferences, a lot that have nothing to do with Cosmos, and I'll say, "Hey, I'm Cosmos Sauce," and it'll be a Solidity dev that's an Ethereum guy, and he's like, they always have good things to say about Cosmos. So right now, like IBC is obviously, it's great. There's no one to say, but it's like we're a bunch of degen monkeys bringing tokens from here to here and back and forth, and I would just like to see the technology be used for like applications. I want to see you pull out a cell phone and 5 of the apps they're just like Cosmo apps. That's my hope, and I hope that's what people push for, not just more DeFi stuff. I love DeFi, but it gets old. So I hope that we start focusing on all the narratives that are going to come out, the AIs and the gaming and all, because I think Cosmos is ripe for the picking. And to the earlier point about like everything, I think too about how decentralized we are. For me, before this, I would want to see this. I want to know who the CEO is. First off, is he taking care of himself? Does he look gritty, or he or she? Do they look like?
Is he bald?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like that. And are they out there just like going through the roadmap, like full steam ahead, and never getting complacent, never getting satisfied? Because it's easy, like, right? You can raise some money, spin up a chain, make your millions or whatever, then just piss off and go do something else. And I want the guy out there he or she just full steam ahead. And I think we have that here. At least I hope so.
I'd say at least for Cosmos Hub, we don't have that. We need leadership in terms of having a charismatic guy or girl that is ready to like change things around and is motivated, right? Saying, all right, this is what I propose, this is what we're gonna do updates on that, go to meetings, give presentations, organize fun events, get in touch with the community. You have to absolutely do that, it's imperative. For me, I'd like to see like a combination of like, totally for like actual deliverance, Vitalik for like the hypothesis around it, but even have some Do Kwon, which I know there might be a negative sentiment, but his charisma was undeniable, and a mimetic factor of like Smokey from Oraichain, right? So you kind of have to have qualities from all of them. Even for example, JP Thor from Thorchain. Thorchain was like kind of idling, and this guy came in and full stack provided products, executed by getting the new teams. Kuji failed. He's like, come to me. I have some ideas for you, right? So you need to do that, just get shit done, honestly.
I think in general, a lot of crypto is going to consolidate anyhow. I mean, there's just so many tokens. There's so many projects. To me, there's so much unlocking happening. There's not enough buy pressure. So it's inevitable, in my opinion. Maybe Atom could be that place that, consolidates. It figures out. It's difficult, though, how decentralized it is. It's like the validators, are they going to vote on it? I know not too long ago they were talking about an Atom and Osmo merge. How would that look? It's like there's no one. I think Osmosis, and I'm not just trying to show Osmosis right now, but I think there's nothing out there better than Osmosis when it comes to like just how smooth it is, how good it looks. Honestly, like I said earlier, I would not be here right now if it wasn't for that like smoothness and how fun it was. And we only have a little bit left, but I wanted you a little hot take, anything you wish, or in your journey you wish you could change or hope that changes?
I think more women leading.
I agree.
And more women having a voice in Cosmos. I understand that the take is that, oh, maybe it's more developer focused. I mean, look, I'm not a dev, and shout out to everyone here. I've been to so many Cosmoverse, and nobody has ever made me feel like I don't belong, right? And maybe because, you know, I'm in PR, so I'm like, I don't care if I don't belong. I'm just coming here and speaking to you guys anyway, right? At some point in time, I probably would understand what you're saying to me. Don't worry, I know what you do. But maybe a lot of women find it a bit harder. You know, you have ETH Global, you know, where they have the whole regular hackathons, and the number of women developers who have been participating, or even non-developers, have actually been increasing over the past couple of years. So, you know, we laugh about how centralized Ethereum is, right? But there's still some good parts of the ecosystem, you know. And in Cosmos, I'm not saying that we're not doing a good job or not even trying. I'm just saying that we could actually do better, you know. And actually, I don't mind that we're not so focused on the token price. You look at the Bitcoiners, right? Like, I mean, we all have a place in this whole industry. But sometimes when I go to the Bitcoin ecosystem events, right, and I know they're not great for builders, unlike Cosmos, right? We are like a builder's dream, you know. I know, we're original modular ecosystem, and it makes myself wonder how many people in the Bitcoin ecosystem are actually more focused on the price, the value of Bitcoin, you know, instead of building, which then, to me, like, if the price and when the price go down, are they going to stay, or are they just going to, you know, go back to whatever Web2, you know, shell they are in, right? And this is not good for Web3 as a whole. I am very personally invested in this industry because I'm a first principles maxi. You know, I believe that there's a lot more we can achieve in this world, and mainly because I want to eat my avocado apartment, right? And you know, the freedom that is. I know. It's like my generation is like, no, I can't afford an apartment because I'm eating smashed avocados. I want to have both, right? And this is what this industry has given me, and there's this equality side of it and freedom that I thrive on, you know. And I think that if we focus on that and get more people who are like that into this Cosmos ecosystem, I think that we'll thrive even more.
We should have ended with you. That's like a mic drop.
All right,
I'm sorry, guys. That's a lot of pressure.
All right, thank you.
Can we just walk off now?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the after party.
Yeah. So I'll close it. But there's a famous tweet by a guy, Coach Bruce. He's like, I measure the success of ecosystem based on the amount of women that are engaging for them. So like maybe Cosmos isn't dead. We just need more women in Cosmos.
Yeah. We have enough stinky guys, right?
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, look, for me, like, abstract away all the complexities, have fun user ends, because if you're targeting retail just wants to trade, right? You make it as easy as possible to trade in the ecosystem. And if we're targeting, you know, real world problems, get out there, talk to other nations, institutions, and solve them with the tech that we build. That's it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, what I would like to see is, you know, looking at real-world applications, finding the use cases where decentralization is actually a requisite thing for what you're building. Because when you find those use cases, they're applicable to, you know, everybody. And when you find those use cases, Cosmos is the best tool for the job.
I don't have really much to. I've been rambling enough. I just wanted to thank everyone, Cosmoverse. Everyone put this together. It's been great. It's my first one. Every time I try to come, something happens. So, and that must happen this time too. But I'm so grateful to be here, and it's not dead. I want to keep coming to more of these, so I can't die, right?
Yeah.
So,
right.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Wait, is this the last panel?
I was going to say, what?
One more. Okay, never mind.
Can I just say one last thing
Yeah.
to close?
Yeah, we wanted you to end anyways.
Yeah? Okay, so if you build it, they won't come unless you actually tell them about it. So
that's a good one.
Yeah. Right.
Cosmos.
Thank you, everyone.